Hey, it's Jeff Ondash, and welcome to Out and About. And boy, have we got a great one for you and your family today, so listen in. This is all about comics and the Comic-Con coming to Youngstown, and I'm here with Greg Bartholomew. Greg, you have owned All-American Comics for quite a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been in downtown Warren for 26 years, and we've been out here in Boardman for 22.
22 years in Boardman, Ohio.
Yes. 5 years in this location, and then we were down the street a couple miles next to Blue Wolf for 17 years.
Wow. So you have been doing comics for a long, long time. Have you seen sort of kind of like a revitalization of this whole business ever since the Big Bang came around and they brought nerd to what it is today? It's acceptable again?
Yeah, I mean, TV shows that were kind of revolve around that help a lot, but also the movies have brought a lot of forefront, the characters to the forefront. So it's not like a lot of people come in looking for the actual comic books, but we sell a lot of toys and posters and T-shirts and, things that the general public, as opposed to the hardcore collector, are coming in more and more now than they did 10, 15 years ago.
I'm 60 years old, so I grew up on bubblegum cards, trading cards, and comic books. That was a staple every weekend. You're going to the local drugstore to get your comic books and your trading cards. Trading cards have kind of come and gone. It's been a difficult road for them. And as kids have matured, they've kind of stayed away from that. But comic books have seen this, this coming back again. And like you said, the Marvel movies, the DC movies have really, really been a big part of that.
They have. They've been absolutely fantastic. Kids these days now, they're more into the trading card games. So you actually can take a card instead of just looking at it, look at its stats, and put it into a plastic sleeve or a notebook. These kids actually can play with the cards. And, we have tournaments and things like that for Pokemon and Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! So the cards aren't static like they used to be. I mean, I collected sports cards in the 70s too, obviously comic books and that, but then these card games came around in the mid-90s to present, and that's a big part of our business also.
I didn't know we're supposed to collect them when I was a kid. Right. We used to read them, and then I'd save them and everything, but then gone. And I don't know, everybody that I know, they're all gone. We don't know what happened to them, but we had, hundreds, if not thousands of them back then. And we were there at the beginning of Spider-Man and as Batman was evolving into all the different things. And comics then at some point went into a situation where they started to merge into, from this book, this story went into another book, went from Spider-Man to Fantastic Four to Daredevil, not Daredevil, but crossovers. So that's helped it out too.
It does. It keeps people coming back each month or even each week. We get new comic books in every week. And these crossovers help people maybe experience a book they wouldn't have picked up before because maybe a character from another series have been in it. Marvel back in the 80s were big with crossing over Punisher and Wolverine because at the time they were their two biggest stars at the time that weren't mainline, Spider-Man or Fantastic Four or the Hulk or things like that. But if Wolverine was in, a book, it could have been Barbie and you would have picked it up because you're a Wolverine fan. So Marvel's kind of got away from that. They do like one big crossover each summer sometimes, for like an event. But, a lot of people were tired of then picking up a lot of these crossover books too because it's like, I spent another $20 this week on comics just to pick up this story that's been, was supposed to be 6 months and now it's a year. And that, it's all still marketing and, driving product and things like that. But it's still, you can still pick and choose what you want to read.
One of the things that I think is really, really kind of overlooked on it is what comics do for kids in terms of helping them to evolve with reading. Because I know when I was a kid, that's basically how I learned to read. I could remember getting comics, my brother's comics, when I was 3 and 4 years old, and getting them and being able to pick out words, and that's really how I started reading and kept going from there.
Yeah, we same thing. We would go on trips. Before any of this, handheld gadgets and things like that, Mom and Dad would give me and my brother each $1. We'd go into a Lawson's or a little shop or something like that, pick out 3 or 4 comic books. And if we were going to, New York, or if we were going to Washington, D.C. with family, we sat in the back of the van and read comic books. That's what passed the time and kept us from punching each other.
So you're going to educate your kids, and the kids aren't even going to know they're getting educated at the same time as they're being entertained. But then all of a sudden, these Comic-Cons started coming around, about 20, 25 years ago, and the birth of them was San Diego, the first one?
The first one was actually held in New York City in like 1964, and they had a 50-year anniversary for that. at New York Comic Con 5 years ago. But I mean, there was that one, and they were very intermittent back then. And then San Diego, I believe, started in like 70 or 71. So they're right around their 50-year anniversary. But they really started great, but they were a couple hundred people, as opposed to San Diego now being 126,000 people over 4 days. But Comic-Cons really started gaining traction in the mid-'80s, the early 90s, and things like that. And then in the last 10 years, you've had mega conventions show up all over the country.
And it's not just comics now, because now the movies know that this is a great way to get to a big fan base without spending a lot of money.
I mean, San Diego, most of the people go for the panels and things like that because LA's not that far, and you get a lot of big name A-list stars that want to be a part of these properties because it's exposure for their careers and their branding, and they show up at these Comic-Cons. And now other Comic-Cons throughout the country, can bring in A-list celebrities if they'd like. They're not free. Yeah, they're expensive, some of them are, and you can still get old-time comic book people. Like Stan Lee was the biggest draw in the comic book industry until he unfortunately passed last November. But if you wanted Stan at your Comic-Con, it was $200,000.
Wow. Yeah. But you've done something for the area. We've always been a mid-sized market, and about 10 years ago, you decided to bring a Comic-Con to this area. And thank you for doing that, because we've needed one for a long time so people don't have to travel out. And it's a labor of love for you. It's also part of your business. And this is not an easy thing to do. It takes a whole year of preparation to do this, and you're going into your 10th year now with this.
Yeah, the first year we started very modestly. We had 400 people show up. I did it on a very small shoestring budget. There hadn't been a show in the area for almost 10 years when I did the first one in 2010. But my thing was I wanted to just grow it a little bit each year. I didn't want to come out of the gate too big and then not be able to take over from that. A lot of guys want to put on these huge productions, but what are you going to do for an encore? And if the encore is not as good as the original, then in people's minds it's like, well, that wasn't as much fun. Yeah. So each year we try to get bigger and bigger and bigger. This is our 10th year. We had over 5,000 people last year at the Covelli over 2 days, and this year we're hoping for at least 6,000 people.
That didn't start at the Covelli. This is your third year at Covelli, but the previous 7 you started on other venues.
Yeah, we started out in downtown Warren just because of the close proximity to my store down there. So basically we would hold a show and then hope people would come across the street to the shop. We were at the Best Western a couple years. We were at the building where the Tech Belt is actually when it was open. We were also at Scope. And then for 3 years, we were at Packer Music Hall. And I was in there. I was on Warren City Council. My friends Kenny and Marty from River Rock were holding their shows at Packer Music Hall. And Marty invited me to come take a look at the venue just because something to do. And I'm looking around. Had never seen it empty without the chairs in it. And I'm looking going, I think I can move my Comic-Con here. And then within 3 years, we went from 1,200 to 1,800 to 2,500 people. Knew we had to move it, moved it to Covelli. We had almost 4,000 people 2 years ago. And like I said, we had over 5,000 people last year.
Okay, so this year it's going to be at Covelli again. The Youngstown Comic-Con is going to be at Covelli. And this is something that you and your family don't want to miss, because there's a little bit of something for everyone there. There's vendors, there's food, there's entertainers, there's cosplay. Yes. It's a great time to just go out and people watch too. So tell us.
It's the people watching event of the year. I mean, you can come. It's only $15 to get in. Kids 6 and under are free. We have panels, like you said. We have cosplay contests. We have 150 vendors that come from all over the Midwest and the East Coast. We've got Jason Mewes from Jay and Silent Bob coming. We've got 3 of the guys from Comic Book Men that were on AMC after The Walking Dead, Kevin Smith's comic book store, and then we've got a couple really good comic book artists coming in too. But I mean, we've got other things going on. We'll have makeup demonstrations. We've got, like I said, we'll have a parade. I mean, it's all-encompassing, and it's a lot cheaper to go to the Comic-Con than even a movie sometimes or an amusement park. The one up in Sandusky's at $70 to get in per person. You can bring a family of 5 to this for $75.
And you'll have a great time too. And there's in the vendors, they've got comics for sale, vintage comics for sale. There's all kind of great things, toys, the new Funkos, everything's out there. You can see around the store, you can see some of the comics they have here and some of the great things that you can add to your collection. But the Youngstown Comic-Con, it's $15 for adults, 6 and under is free. And the dates of this?
July 6th and 7th. So we are a little over 2 weeks away.
It's coming, and you're not going to want to miss this, folks. This is going to be a great time for you and your family. If you're thinking of something to do, you could go downtown, grab some food down there, because, downtown Youngstown now is back, and the restaurants are great. There's quite a few of them, too many to mention, but then head over to Covelli Center and have a great time at the Youngstown Comic-Con. And, Greg, now how can they go to a website, get more information on this?
The website's youngstowncomiccon.com, real easy to find, or we have a Facebook page, too, under Youngstown Comic-Con. You can buy 2-day passes there and save $5. They're $25 on the website, or if you come into either one of our 2 locations, you can buy 1-day or 2-day passes. And we'll also have unlimited 1-day passes for sale at the door. So you don't have to worry about anything selling out. You can come if you want to and pay at the door the $15 and good to go.
Good to go. This is a great time. If you've never been to a Comic-Con, you don't have to travel to San Diego or D.C. or New York City. You can go right downtown to the Covelli Center, thanks to Greg Bartholomew here, and see a great, great time for you and your family. I'll tell you what, the cosplay itself is reason to go and see how some of these people put thousands of dollars into their costumes.
This year, the winner of our adult cosplay contest will go on the billboards for next year. So that's part of the incentive of coming in your best costume also. So if you want to show off your stuff and be on a billboard next year, come to the Comic-Con. Saturday at 6 o'clock is the adult contest. Sunday at 1 o'clock is the kids.
What a way to finish off your July 4th weekend. You can party all week long and celebrate the birth of our country, and then come down to the Youngstown Comic-Con at the Covelli Center. Greg, one more time, how do they get tickets?
You can come into either one of our locations here in Boardman or Warren, or you can go online, youngstowncomiccon.com, and you can order 2-day tickets on the website.
All righty, that's going to do it for this edition of Out and About. Hope to see you down at the Youngstown Comic-Con. Let's break a record. Let's get to about 7,500 people and really support this area and local businesses in this area. And I'm telling you, I promise you, your family will have a wonderful time down there. And then go grab some grub in downtown Youngstown. You're really going to enjoy it. That's it for this edition of Out and About. We'll see you later. See you at the Youngstown Comic-Con, and we hope you have a great rest of the month.